Welcome to the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting for Monday, April 25th, 2022. It is 7 o'clock p.m. and I'm calling the meeting to order. I'd like to thank all the commissioners for your service this evening. It's appreciated. We'll move right into Section B, Citizen Comments. This agenda item provides an opportunity for citizens to address the Planning and Zoning Commission on any matter that is not posted on the agenda. Anyone wishing to address the Commission should complete a citizen comments registration form and submit it to the chairman prior to the start of the meeting. There's a 3-minute time limit for each citizen to speak, with a reasonable limitation on speakers on one topic or item, with a maximum of 15 total minutes on the same topic item. Anyone wishing to speak shall be courteous and cordial. The Planning and Zoning Commission is not permitted to take action on any subject raised by a speaker during citizen comments. However, the Planning and Zoning Commission may have the item placed on a future agenda for action, referred the item to the Director of Planning for further study or action, briefly state existing city policy, or provide a brief statement of factual information in response to the inquiry. Does anyone have a citizen comment on something that's not on the agenda? Seeing none, we'll move on to regular agenda items, starting with item C1. Consider approval of the April 11th, 2022 Planning and Zoning Commission minutes and take appropriate action. Staff recommends approval of the minutes as written. Commissioners, any comments? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I motion that we approve the minutes as written.
I have a motion. Second?
Second.
I have a second. All in favor? It is unanimous. Moving on to our public hearing items, Section D. Item D1, conduct a public hearing and consider the request for a specific use permit for a massage business chiropractor clinic on an approximate 0.24 acre property located at 2700 Valley View Lane and take appropriate action. Chris.
Good evening, everyone. How are y'all doing, commissioners?
Good.
Chris Webb, Planning Department. And looking at agenda item D1, which is going to be located at 2700 Valley View Lane. We are looking at a specific use permit request for a massage business. Really, this is going to be for a chiropractor office, and chiropractor, per our definition, falls under the massage business use. Just taking a look at the site, it's right around 1/4 acre. It is currently zoned office, which, based off that zoning, is why this SUP is coming before you this evening. The existing office building is 1,248 square feet, and there is also additional surface parking included on this site. The office building is currently unoccupied, but the existing building is what would be used for the proposed chiropractor office. Activity that's going to be included with this business will include chiropractor adjustments, massage therapy, acupuncture, exercise therapy, and all staff administering or providing these services will be licensed by the state. There are anticipated to be 10 employees with this proposed business, and their proposed hours are going to be Monday through Thursday, 8 to 6, Friday, 8 to 5, and then also on Saturday, 10 to 2. As part of the proposed floor plan, there are going to be included in this 2 chiropractic rooms, 2 massage rooms, acupuncture room, just kind of your general overall chiropractic office. No changes to the property have been proposed with this application, and that's all we have so far for any site changes. One item I did want to bring up when it comes to this is going to be the parking lot, and there's, I guess, a few items tied with the parking lot. The first is going to be just kind of the overall lot layout. Currently, there are no indicated stripes for parking on one half of the parking lot. The other half, it's incredibly faded. So because of that, staff is requesting that the parking lot be restriped to clearly indicate where the parking is on this site. And then included with that as well, if we were to go off of the office use type, that would require 1 space per 400 square feet, which would give you about 4 spaces for this site. However, given that there's going to be 2 shifts of 5 for the employees, as well as additional customers or patients that are going to be here, staff is recommending that 10 spaces be striped and marked as part of this overall use type on this site. The other concern is really involving the quality of the parking surface itself. One point of, I guess, one area of discussion would be there was a median that ran from the front of this building all the way out to almost to Valley View, or almost to the sidewalk that goes along Valley View Lane. Since then, since this case has come to us, we have noticed that median has been removed, which has left this 3 foot wide by about 3 to 4 inch deep trench running through the middle of that parking lot, as well as a couple other issues where there are some parking surface either cracks or potholes or areas where the asphalt's currently failing. So staff is requesting that the lot be resurfaced as well as part of this SUP. As far as the overall site goes, it does fall under the central area plan, and retail and service uses are recommended, of which this use type is one. Public response, we did send out 17 zoning notification letters, and also 2 letters to Carrollton Farmers Branch and Dallas Independent School Districts. Staff has not received any sort of written correspondence from anybody with the public as far as this site is concerned. And then staff's recommendation for this case is that we recommend approval for the specific use permit, but we do request that the condition that the certificate of occupancy not be issued until both the lot has been resurfaced and also a minimum 10 parking spaces have clearly been established. That's all I have for my presentation, but if you do have any additional questions for staff, feel free to ask.
Thanks, Chris. Any questions for staff? Commissioner Brittle.
Andy, I was pointed.
I'm going to start down with you.
Oh, do I have for staff? No.
For staff, okay. Andy?
I'm honestly not sure if this is a question for you or for the applicant.
So we're going to have the applicant come after staff is
Right,
finished.
but can you scroll back to,
Yeah. Any specific?
I know how this goes, I'm sorry. Okay, wait, go back, I need the floor plan,
Floor plan, okay.
All right. I note in the upper right-hand corner, at least on my screen, it says intravenous.
Yes.
Do you know what that means?
So there is going to be some IV therapy that's included in this. I can speak on it to an extent, but the applicant will be able to fill you in a lot more than I can.
Sure, and the reason this is a question for staff is, does that fall under our definition of massage?
So it falls under kind of the general overall use of what a chiropractic business, which falls under massage.
Perfect, thank you. All right.
Yeah.
Any more questions for staff? All right, seeing none. So I think we have questions for the applicant.
All right.
If you could state your name and address for the record, please.
My home address or this address?
This address is fine.
Okay, 2700 Valley View.
And your name?
Tina Bennett Burton.
Thank you. Commissioner Brittle, we'll start with you.
Okay. How are you?
I'm well, how are you?
So a couple of things. Don't you have another location for business?
I'm at 10 Medical Parkway.
So are you going to work at this location also?
Yes, our lease is up, we're moving, we're purchasing.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you're moving your business completely to
Yes.
there. Do you have all of these services in your present business?
Yes,
Okay. And then, are you going to do landscaping, I hope? Please?
yes.
Okay. It's
Understatement.
rather dreary. Okay.
Where that barrier was pulled is going to be a green belt going down, honestly, because people drive through it and over it, and I've witnessed it.
So around the building and all of
Yeah.
that, you will have landscaping and
Yeah.
and make it look professional. So also, it looks like it's connected to that house in the back, is
Yes,
it?
ma'am. It is.
Okay, and
That's Holsbrook. I don't know the exact address, but it's Holsbrook. It's 2 separate properties, but we are purchasing them both.
okay, you tend to expand into that, or?
Right now, somebody lives in it, and we were going to sell and move into it for about 18 months until we can build something else.
Okay.
And then we do not know at that point. per Chris, basically, if it remains empty 6 months, it automatically goes back to,
It's currently zoned.
it's confusing.
Residential.
Not really, it's just grandfathered.
So that site, sorry. So that site back there, it's currently zoned office, but it is legal non-conforming as a residence at the moment. So therefore, as long as it remains a residential use and is not vacated for a period of more than 6 months, or there's a site improvement to make it either more non-conforming or just eliminate what's currently on there, then it's allowed to stay within that residential use from one owner to the next. Again, it has to be vacated for a period of 6 months or more, or there has to be, you have to eliminate essentially the building entirely before that would, that requirement goes away.
If I may add a
Sure.
point of clarification, Commissioner Bertle. So that site, he was partially correct, which is it's currently occupied as a house, so it's a non-conforming use because office zoning does not allow residence by right. It has to stay vacant for 6 months or more to lose its grandfather status, where they cannot occupy it as a residence anymore. However, the only thing moving forward would be either continue to be used as a residence. If it stays vacant for more than 6 months, it loses its grandfather status. It cannot be expanded or be occupied by another non-conforming use. So it has to be occupied by a conforming use allowed by office zoning.
Okay, got it. Okay. Then the staff that are you moving all of your staff over?
Yes,
Okay, so all of them have been working for you
for a while,
You're-
yeah.
Okay, so I didn't see any place for x-rays or anything like that?
Eventually, there will be. So you'd brought up there's construction. We took the paneling down, but not only in the rooms. There's an area, it's kind of an L or a U, that's right in the middle on the west side that eventually we have to pull permits for because there's electrical, there's HVAC in that specific area, there's plumbing in that area. And it just needs to be updated. And so when we do that, we will add a wall and there will be X-ray there.
Okay, so right now, I didn't see anything for, I mean, I guess you'll put all that in for where you're doing your IVs and all of those things. And you do offer that right now?
Yes, and the IV is actually already on there.
It is, I just didn't see you do all the cleanup and the stuff within that room. It has to be sterilized and...
Yes,
Okay.
which we pulled the carpet out because not y'all's standards, but the standards that we're governed by requires that if even with the acupuncturist, because you break skin, you have to have a surface that can be wiped. So there's linoleum basically that will be in.
When do you plan to go into this?
Sometime late next week, hopefully. Our lease is up at the end of this process has gone on a minute.
Wow, that will be fast. They're still doing tape and bedding in there.
Yeah.
Goodness, okay. And let's see, I had a bunch of stuff here. So, and the next question, on your massage therapy business, is that a referral from you, from the doctor?
Yes.
It can't be someone just calling in?
And I did brand the numbers. There's 30% of our business is massage. That's all that it is. It is not the majority of our business.
And it's referred from you?
Yes.
Okay, got it.
And other providers. We're actually the primary referral partner for UT Southwestern as well as Medical City Hospital. So,
Okay.
yeah.
So massage, medical massage therapy?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Tina.
Amber?
I was curious, since you have been running a similar business, a relative square footage difference and also if that impacts your number of patients. So just trying to get an idea of...
It's actually not significantly different, honestly. Two of the room sizes are a little smaller, but, and I'll be honest, I've decided that those rooms, however they were going to be the massage rooms, I'm going to be in there adjusting in there. I have a thing about being OCD and supervising people behind closed doors. So they're moving to the front in a more trafficked area, so there's less opportunity for anything.
Thank you.
So, yeah. And the doors that that are going in are glass doors. They'll be frosted, so there's privacy, but only a certain amount of privacy.
Good, thank you.
Yeah.
And approximately how many folks would be receiving services at any given time? I'm sure it varies, but.
4. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think we've ever exceeded 4. Yeah.
Thank you.
Andy?
So now I know my question is for you.
Okay.
I do personal injury. I haven't heard of chiropractors doing intravenous before. Tell me what that is.
Actually, and so this has been the point of contention with the whole thing. So it's a honeycomb of health. It's actually an integrated holistic practice.
Oh, like Carpathia.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. That answers my question. Thank you.
Vice Chair Zavala.
Hi, Tina. Question in terms of your existing business. How long have you been in business?
I went into practice in 2007. I've been in my location 5 years.
And what was it about this location that
I
made you
don't
pick-
ever want to move again,
Okay.
ever.
So you said something that caught my attention. I just want to confirm. You said you were going to demo. You were talking about the back building is what you were going to demo. Is that what you said?
No, eventually we will remodel the bathroom as well as it's marked on there as the break room. They had taken what was a kitchen, and I don't know what they've done with it. There's like weird stuff. And so eventually we
Chris,
will.
can you pull up the floor plan?
Yeah.
Please? Thank you.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. There you go.
Okay. So where it says break room and then the storage and the bathroom. So we need to pull, like the next thing that we do, we'll pull permits for that bathroom just to get rid of more paneling, but it's got awful red as well. And we need to move to make it, I think we need to move it to make it to compliant. That door just doesn't work well. So we need to flip the bathroom, the sink, and then turn the toilet. So it's really not a lot, but it still makes more space in there. And if you saw it like in the flesh, you'd understand what I'm saying. But then to the right of that on the break room, so the wall will go in basically where that opening is to the right, it'll go straight across. And so that will be another office area, and that will actually be the X-ray, which is why we've switched, and instead of the IV being on that side, it will be on this side, and the reception will be on that side, so we can lead, it's just wallpaper, but you have to lead, so I just don't want to irradiate, IV patients, quite frankly. Stranger things have happened, so I'm trying to minimize it. So that'll be just kind of flipped that direction. Does that make sense? Anybody?
No, you lost me a little while ago, but
Okay, I'm
it's
sorry.
I'm not going to ask you to repeat yourself, so it's okay.
Well,
I kind
just-
of followed you, but it's okay. Let me ask you my next question, I
Okay.
guess. You said that you're planning on moving in next week, which seems a little bit presumptuous given that approvals haven't been granted yet. So what is your plan if city council doesn't approve of this use?
There's another facility that I could purchase in DIS, in the Dallas area.
So have you closed on this facility, or is that something that you're still kind of in the process of closing on
We
the
will
property?
close on September 15th. We have signed the contracts.
Okay. So you have some kind of lease on the front end?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. That's all my questions.
Bonnie? Pat?
So part of the recommendation from city staff is resurfacing and restriping the parking lot. You're planning on doing
So,
that?
how do I go backwards?
Which one do you want to go to?
That one. So that was in the front, and they had these 3 poles, and they were concrete poles. People, and I know you can't see it because the words are there, where it says median there's one of those parking lot things down there. But they were going over it, and even, because the barrier didn't go down that far, and they would go over it and cut right over the sidewalk into a drive that does exit out into Valley View right there. And so it was like, how do we fix this whole problem? And I witnessed them not even trucks, I mean, they drug, moving those. And so I was like, okay, we'll take this up and make this green. So there's a visual stop all the way down to the sidewalk. You know, this is not parking, this is not drivable, this is stop. So that's what they're talking about and what I want to redo. The striping is not an issue. Now, that is concrete because they have, as Chris and I have found over the years, they moved the entrance. We do not know when. We have pictures of where it was, and now it's way back on the Holsbrook side, further back on that property. And right down the middle where it looks like it cracked, it hasn't actually cracked. That was actually the barrier between the two properties for their parking lots. And I think during the beautification process where the landowner had given you guys two specific parts of it to beautify, the power company came in, I've got pictures of it, they cut down one pole, didn't take it up, put another pole up, took the anchor down where the entrance was, and instead of pouring or ripping up both parking lots, they just put pavement over it. And so you can see that barrier.
Is that concrete right here?
That is concrete underneath that because it was all concrete.
Okay.
And when they moved that entrance for the I think it's when it happened was for the beautification when they gave you guys some. They just put the asphalt over it.
Okay, so that section is going to get some
Oh.
visible landscape barrier
Yeah.
that is going to look nice.
It's going to look nice, and hopefully people are polite enough to not drive over the grass.
So then the rest of it, do those wheel stops go away? And then it does say resurfacing, so are you planning on paving that, to Gio's point, within a week?
Well, no, we can't get it resurfaced in a week. We can get it striped in a week. The engineers need to come out and see how many layers there really are there, because on the other side, where there's brand new concrete, there's still pavement next, or I don't even know what you call that stuff, next to it. It really doesn't make any sense, like how or what they did or why. The slope doesn't make sense either. It's like I need help again, Chris. Just show me the button. I'll pay attention. I got it. Nope, bye. Do you have, okay, I thought maybe you had the front one. There. Okay, so on the left, there are 2 steps. On the right, there are 3 steps, and it's because the property slopes down. The house is perfectly stable and square and even. The parking lot is what slopes down. We don't know really why. So we have to figure out with an engineer, like, what part is not working. Was it always that way? Or is there, there's nothing, there's no potholes. There are no potholes in it. It just slopes down. I don't know.
Any more questions, Pat? Okay, Roger? All right, super. Yes, Commissioner Brittle.
So I know you said you were moving in next week?
If all of this,
When do you plan on doing your landscaping and all that stuff?
they're working on it.
So
we
you
plan-
don't own it, but you're going to do it? You're just leasing?
Well, we effectively own it. We have signed all the contracts. We close on September 15th, but there's no getting out of that contract.
Okay.
We own it.
All right. And that's ongoing, and you'll get that done?
Oh, yeah. To the left, there will be magnolias,
Okay,
vines going up. We've already
okay.
decided on the green.
So are you having to change out any windows or anything like that?
Eventually, we will. Yeah.
Chris, can you walk the commission through how certificate of occupancy works?
Sure thing. And I guess a couple things I did want to point out is technically on the vegetation, the landscaping side, she already meets the minimum requirements. So no additional landscaping is needed for this
What meets the requirement here?
5% of the
You mean that
1,200
grass area?
So there's the grass, there's some bushes
There's a
running.
couple of trees.
And there's that grass area over there. So
Got it.
that does, as far as the landscaping ordinance reads currently,
Okay.
that it
Okay.
does meet that. So certificate of occupancy, you're going to receive your specific use permit. Then you would need to apply for your certificate of occupancy, which would be reviewed by staff. In this case, we are aware of this site, and in this instance, it would, based off of staff recommendations, the site would need to be striped, which I know you have already expressed, and the site would be required to be resurfaced at the very least with the existing material that's on there prior to the CO being officially approved. With that, if there's additional things that the building, because it would require fire department or fire marshal to come over and do a visit, and also would require building inspection to come out and just make sure the site is ready to open for the chiropractic office. And at that point, it would be officially approved, and Dr. Bennett would be able to open her business at that point.
So is a occupant able to move in before they receive a certificate of occupancy?
It's possible for them to begin the moving in process, but it would not be possible for them to begin business or practicing within that site prior to the certificate of occupancy being approved.
Okay, super. Did you have something, sir?
No, I was just, whatever Chris said, I was going to say the exact same thing. The business will not be able to occupy the building. That's why the certificate of occupancy has to be approved. All the inspections have to be approved. And I believe the key, what we are looking at here, is it feasible within a week? In our experience in the development business, it just does not seem feasible that the surfacing as well as striping and all the work will be done in a week. Or I guess that's a question for the
Okay.
applicant.
Thank you.
It's feasible.
Any more questions for staff or the applicant?
Quick question for, this would go to staff, I mean, the council
On May 3rd.
on May 3rd.
May 3rd.
And just, if you could remind me, is that new signature park going to be built on at Orton Good Park? Is that where the new signature park that the city's invested money in, is that?
Yes.
That's going, okay. I didn't know if it was that location or another location. Okay, thank you.
Any more questions? Thank you very much. All right, commissioners, any more discussion, or I'll entertain a motion of your choice.
I move to approve with staff's recommendation to resurface and restripe.
I'm sorry, you're right, it's a public hearing. Forgive me. Sorry about that, Andy. I need to open the public hearing. This is a public hearing. I'm opening the public hearing. If anyone would like to come forward and speak on this topic, feel free to come forward and state your name and address for the record. All right, seeing that no one's coming forward, I will now close the public hearing. Now I will entertain a motion.
I move to approve the SUP with the staff recommendation to resurface and restripe.
So I have a motion to recommend approval of the specific use permit with the staff recommendation to resurface and restripe the parking lot. Is that correct?
Yes.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a second. All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in favor. Opposed? 1 opposed. This goes to council May 3rd. Thank you. Moving on to item D2, conduct a public hearing and consider the request to rezone approximately 5.005 acres located at 4707 Alpha Road, described as Lot 1, Block 1, Alpha Metropolitan Edition, from Light Industrial Zoning District to Planned Development District Number 107 Zoning District, including creation of PD 107 to allow, including but not limited to, multifamily residential development with structured parking garage as permitted use, establish related development standards, and take appropriate action.
Thank you,
Sarupa.
Chairman Moore. Good evening, everyone. Shrupa Sen, Planning Department. The property in front of you is address 4707 Alpha Road. It's about 5 acre, little more than 5 acres. Currently zoned light industrial and occupied as the Tuesday morning parking lot or the truck parking lot, as you see on this aerial. It's located at the northeast corner of Alpha and Welch, to be more specific. The proposed request is for a 406-unit multifamily development. It's going to be a wrap product, 5-story multifamily apartment building wrapped around a 6-level parking garage. The current zoning of light industrial does not allow multifamily use. As a result, we are seeing this zoning change application, and the recommendation or the proposal is to change the zoning to a planned development district or PD 107. And also, this project will be the first project that is going through a zoning amendment request related to multifamily use. And as you all remember, this is the first project after the multifamily development policy has been approved by City Council, and it has to meet the state policy. So on your screen on the left, there's a snapshot of the conceptual site plan provided by the applicant. And I'll walk through some of these notations that I have made on the drawing, as well as if you have noted on the staff recommendation, some of those are pertinent to the staff recommendation on approval. On the conceptual site plan, you can see there are 2 primary entry-exit points for this project, one on Alpha and one along Welch. The parking garage is kind of in the middle. That's what we call a wrap product, where you have the multifamily units kind of wrapped around the parking garage, where it's not visible from any of the public street. This is the Alpha Road side, and this green, we're going to talk about that in a moment when I go to the landscape plan. That's a pocket park provided or proposed by the applicant as a public amenity. And this green shaded area, you might notice in the plan development ordinance also, is shaded and designated as a leasing facility or amenity or club space, multi-use space, about approximately 10,000 square feet on the ground floor to activate this pocket park as well as the multifamily use. The reason I wanted to draw your attention to this particular driveway is there is a slight issue with this driveway not meeting the minimum separation requirement per our public works or engineering design standards, and it has to move slightly west to where it is shown right now. The applicant is working on updating those plans, and that's why you see the recommendation the way it is written. Other than that, we already talked about the access on your screen, and there are 650 parking spaces proposed within the parking garage at the rate of 1.6 spaces per unit. The maximum building height is about 68 feet. 8 on-street parallel parking spaces are also proposed on Welch along this area. The site layout and streetscape on staff recommendation, they are building more of an urban style design of the building. The building is pushed closer to the street or the public's right-of-way, and there is a build-to zone defined in the PD ranging from 10 foot to 15 foot, and 80% of the building facade has to be, or the lot width has to be covered with primary facade of the building on both public streets. This screen has the color landscape plan. You also have the black and white full-size landscape plan in your packet. The 2 amenities that I wanted to draw your attention to is the pocket park, as I mentioned in the previous slide. This is an enlarged image. The applicant is proposing this really beautiful amenity for public to use in future, as well as for their current residents or whenever they're going to move into this project. It's about 72 feet by 74 feet in size, so it's a significant size of pocket park. Shade structures are proposed, seating areas are proposed, as well as pedestrian scale lights and bollards. If you are familiar with the site and if you have driven around in that area, you will notice all these existing beautiful mature live oak trees. They are recommending to preserve most of the live oak trees, only there's a brief section here underneath the overhead power or utility lines where you will see the new on-street parking spaces are proposed. And that's based on staff recommendation. We wanted them to provide this amenity for people as this site becomes the catalytic development for this area. And slowly the surrounding industrial uses starts to morph into more residential, retail, and service uses. It's going to encourage people to walk along or bike along Alpha Road, as well as come to this facility, as well as experience other amenities that will come in future. That's the hope with this first zoning amendment. This larger snapshot here at the bottom side of the screen shows you the proposed streetscape amenity along Alpha, where they're proposing a 10-foot wide hike and bike trail, along with all the pedestrian amenities that I just talked about, the benches and the lights. They're also proposing the 6-foot wide sidewalk along Welch as well. This is the colored conceptual building elevation. The two sides that are facing, this one is facing south, view from Alpha, and this side is facing west, the view from Welch Road. On staff recommendation, they have increased the amount of glazing at the corner where the leasing and the amenity space is going to be, as well as where the corner pocket park is going to be. There is one entry point to the building in that corner, as well as on this west side, there's the garage entry point, or the primary access for the garage from the public standpoint. The building articulation and standards or variations are achieved through different type of material and color and depth. Also, the ground floor units, as based on, and I have a slide on the multifamily policy requirements where we can talk about this more. The ground floor units, based on staff recommendation, are raised with certain units having those private patio access. That can be secured, as well as provide that enhanced kind of eye on street. They can access the streetscape, enjoy those amenities, as well as provide security for future residents, as well as people using those streetscape amenities. There is a much larger table in your staff report. I tried to just point out some of the key parameters of the multifamily development policy, where they have been able to meet or where they have not been able to meet. One of the things that the applicant as well as staff recognize is that you have to start somewhere. So when we talk about a pioneer project or a catalytic project, is if it's a new zoning change application, the first one in the line, they have to meet the difficult criteria of, do you have other similar multifamily uses or retail or service facilities around you? This project does not. So yes, that is a no. However, we are hoping that this project will trigger those developments in near future. Density, they do meet the density requirement. Our policy requires 55 dwelling units per acre. However, they meet and exceed that requirement by 81 dwelling units per acre. From a site design standpoint, as I was talking over on the plans, this is an urban style multifamily product. The buildings are oriented towards street and primary entrance emphasized with architectural design, along with pedestrian amenities with streetscape. Mixed-use component, yes, they don't have a mixed-use component, and of course I'm constantly reminded that there are certain things that market gets to decide, a planner doesn't, and this project, as the first project of this kind, was recommended with a purely multifamily use rather than a ground floor mixed use. Ground floor uses, the policy recommends entries to individual residential units to streetscape defined by awnings, stoops, raised ground floor, low-level fencing. They are meeting that recommendation. However, towards Welch, where the parallel parking spaces are proposed, that design scheme is not followed. However, they have provided that variation through different material use and color. Open space standpoint, we have two types of open space requirement in the multifamily development policy. 150 square foot of private open space per dwelling unit, and then public open space or usable open space for public. So under their current proposal, they're proposing almost 200 square feet of private open space. And going back to their landscape plan, that's including their two courtyards. One is this pool courtyard, one is this proposed, the second courtyard, as well as this larger open space in the back. They don't have a plan formalized for this area. However, there will be some amenity space for either landscaped or some kind of outdoor amenity for the residents. So that's how they arrive at that number, and they meet that requirement. Parking, of course, our multifamily policy requires structured parking. They meet that requirement. And building design, yes, we talked about that. Building articulation and modulation has been achieved through changes in material as well as height variations, use of parapet wall, things of that nature. From a comprehensive plan and long-use policy recommendation standpoint, this is within the East Side Plan Community Mixed-Use District, as shown on this right side of your screen. The Community Mixed-Use District, as you can see within the plan, future land use plan, there is a much larger area that's shaded green and is part of community mixed use. It goes down from intensity from regional mixed use and regional commerce and corporate commerce sub-districts within East Side Plan, and are recommended for high-quality multifamily with ground floor commercial. Improved walkability of the area and phased redevelopment approach are also mentioned within the plan. The zoning amendment also has to meet the city's multifamily development policy, and as discussed so far, this proposed conceptual plans meet the multifamily policy as well as the East Side Plan recommendations. As required by state law and our zoning ordinance, we have sent 11 zoning notification letters within 200 feet of the subject property, in addition to the both ISDs, Carrollton Farmers Branch and Dallas Independent School Districts. No responses have been received so far. Staff recommends approval of the zoning request with the condition that conceptual plans are revised to rectify the driveway location on Alpha Road to meet the Director of Public Works recommendation before this zoning amendment is presented to City Council. We are on a very tight schedule on this project. This is going to be presented to City Council on May 3rd again. And also, the applicant is aware of the deadline, and they have committed to providing us updated plans, at which point the proposed ordinance that you see in your staff report will be updated with the newer plans, showing the corrected driveway location. That concludes my presentation. If you have any question, I'll be happy to answer. The applicant and his team is present here tonight, and they also have a presentation, if you'd let them do the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarupa. Yes, the applicant can come and make their presentation.
Good evening. My name is Howell Beaver, 4232 San Carlos, Dallas, Texas, 75205. I'm with OHT Partners, a development and construction company that is contracted to purchase and develop the property. Our mission is to build best-in-class multifamily across the state, specifically in Austin, San Antonio, Houston, and DFW. The company was formed in 2010, and we've quickly become one of the most active across the state in all those markets mentioned. We are extremely excited about this site and know it is ripe for redevelopment. We love the proximity to the highways and the jobs in every direction, but the really exciting part about this one is that we believe what's coming in Farmers Branch. This historically industrial pocket is destined to become a much more vibrant, pedestrian-friendly environment. As discussed, the subject site is at the northeast corner of Alpha and Welch and is in the Community Mixed-Use District, as defined by the East Side Plan. Our proposed use of multifamily is recommended in the comprehensive plan. Today, Tuesday morning, parks containers on the surface lot. In its current state, the subject site is valued at about $1.2 million by the appraisal district. And when we are done, we expect to be somewhere between $75 and $80 million. This is a huge economic advantage, of course, for the city, and that doesn't even count the growth this project will ignite in the immediate area. This building will be of the highest quality. We have a resume that will prove our history of delivering the best product in a submarket. From the structural bones to the units and common area amenities to the exterior materials, this project will come with industry-leading execution. Units will be decked out to the nines with high-quality flooring, stone counters, electric locks, top-of-the-line appliances, and more. And we're really proud of what we do on the amenity front. As you guys know, the amenity game in our business is an arms race. We're really all trying to one-up the next guy. And we've been able to set the standard in the past and are going to continue to do so here. By now, everyone seems to be doing it, but I am confident that we blazed the trail with our creation of the Community Work Studio. The first project I know of to feature this was ours in North Austin. For those that don't know what I'm talking about, it's a place for people to go that work from home. Obviously, the working from home trend is rapidly growing. And then the idea is that someone can afford a brand new, very nice 800-foot apartment unit and not have to work on top of themselves. They go downstairs. It's basically kind of a WeWork type of place. And that brings me to my next point. So the point here, and thanks to Sarupa and the rest for really kind of pushing us, is to activate the street. So obviously the plaza that we've been talking about will do so, and we're going to put the two of the three most important amenities. Obviously the pool is important, but the fitness center and this work studio really get the most action in our buildings. So they're going to exist right here adjacent to this public plaza. It's really going to create a very active vibe. It's not retail, but it's going to feel a lot like it. People are going to be inside working, go outside to have a phone call, maybe just go have some coffee outside. We think it'll be really pleasant from a street appeal, and also, like I say, will serve to activate from a pedestrian standpoint. On the pedestrian activation, we are also bringing a significant amount of inviting improvement to the streetscape, including new widened sidewalks, landscape furnishing, and softscape that will create an environment and welcome the pedestrian life that we all like to see. It's very clear to us that Sarupa and Allison really wanted to see activating the street. That was a primary concern, and we are very, very excited to be a part of that solution. I want to thank your staff for pushing us and making sure that we commit to providing the best project that Farmers Branch deserves. Got the whole team here to answer questions, so we're ready. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, sir. Commissioners, any questions for the applicant or for staff? Commissioner Brittle.
Applicant. Great presentation.
Thank you.
So I'm very excited, and you mentioned this, about the street on Alpha. So
Yeah.
this is essentially what we, as a planning commission, and a bunch of us, we're talking about this now. Widening, putting in, keeping the trees, thank you very much, and bringing people in. So I think you are the beginning of this in this area. Thank you, thank you.
Great.
And so I think your presentation generates the excitement. I like all of it, and it meets today's. I love the stuff on the bottom floor, all of that. So you see that over in Vitruvian they have that, and it does generate a lot. So thank you, that's really great. I'm assuming this will be correct, but you have inner parking, right? And every floor is accessed by, because that's a 6-level parking, 5-level parking?
It's 6 levels, so the 6th level is, it's 6 levels of parking. It's a 6-level garage.
And every garage meets a floor. You can
Yes,
go in
ma'am.
through the floor. So,
Yes, ma'am.
yeah, because sometimes it's hard to get people up on the top. They want
That's
to get
right.
on the bottom.
No, we're really big on convenient parking. People don't want to renew if they have to walk too far
Yeah,
for too
all right.
long.
So, and then you do have street parking also along Alpha?
We are providing parallel parking on Welch. Along
okay.
the street. That's not included in our parking counts or anything. That'll be,
Yeah.
publicly accessed. I mean, hopefully there'll be room there for prospective residents to park to easily walk in,
Yeah.
but that's
So you
really
might have
more.
brought up a great district that we've redone in Farmers Branch. So great job.
Great.
Great job.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioners, any more questions? Yes, Pat.
Sarupa mentioned that we prefer mixed use, so some retail on the ground floor. You guys chose, the market drove not to. What, just real general, not real in-depth, but for this particular site, what
What drove
kinda
that
went into
decision?
that? Why'd you say no?
Yeah, so, I mean, the truth is, it's just not a viable market right now for, that sub-market is just not viable for a commercial use at the ground floor of an apartment. I mean, I could, and frankly, it's really hard, they're really hard to work in general at the bottom of apartments, and I could take you all over Bishop Art, some of the coolest areas in DFW, and there's a lot of dark retail at the bottom of apartments. So it's really got to be a unique location for that. And I get the request. I would say that as we think about it, one, our use here that I was describing does feel very mixed use. It will definitely feel very retail. But further and more importantly, I feel like we're going to bring, I don't know, with 406 units, 600 people that are going to create the demand for the retail next door. So that's how we think about it, and hope that we can kind of be catalytic for the area to create that market. Thank you.
Roger. Gio?
Yeah, so I guess I need to thank staff for that plaza there, because I was about to commend you guys, but staff, great job. I think that looks great.
It was
I think,
staff.
I'm really happy with
They
that.
pushed us. It was good.
Also happy with the additional density. Typically, when we see projects like this, they typically stop at 4 floors, and you went the extra floor. So I think just the added density also, helps. I'm sure the number's out on your end, but do you typically go stick build with a 5-story building, or are you doing?
It's stick frame. Of course, the garage is concrete.
Concrete, yeah, precast,
The
yeah.
apartment buildings will be stick frame, yes.
Okay, when would you break ground once this gets pushed through and approved?
As soon as we absolutely can. Obviously permitting and all that good stuff. The tenant on site, Tuesday morning, has through June of '24. We are immediately upon getting zoned, if that works out, we're going to go to them and see if we can't work a deal to get them out sooner. But we want to break ground as soon as possible. That said, the caveat is they have rights to be there until June of until
They're
July of
leasing it from the
24.
property owner, the current property owner, or they own the property?
They're leasing.
They're leasing, okay.
And they've got rights. So the fact is, for us to get designed and then permitted, you're probably looking at maybe 9 months where we sit on permits without, waiting for them to go in the worst case. But like I say, we're going to do everything we can to start sooner rather than later.
And like the duration for a project like this, typically what, 24, 26 months?
Yeah, probably total construction timing, about 24 months, maybe a month or two longer these days. You're starting to lease units in month 16, 17.
So you'd have like early turnover on some of the
Yeah,
floors as you
we'll
go?
phase the turns.
Okay. So just a question in terms of that proposed open space amenity area in the back, what were you thinking, or how do you think you can bring value to that community?
It's a great question. I've challenged this team over here to come up with something really cool. I've yet to work on a site that has it's kind of a unique thing. The obvious answer is a dog park.
Right, that's kind of what I was thinking.
But I'm hoping we can come up with something cooler. Maybe an indoor-outdoor workout facility. I don't know. We've done golf simulators, so we could do something really cool like that, like an indoor golf simulator with putting green out back. We haven't decided, but we're trying to figure out kind of how to push the limits.
Okay, thank you.
That amenities arm race I talked about.
Nice job on the project, that looks great.
Thank you.
Commissioner Jones?
So as the, I guess, catalytic, or probably catalyst was probably a better word here, have you ever served in that capacity in another community? Or is
Yes.
this your first chance to do this?
No, we've done that. We've done that kind of everywhere we work.
So you've
East
gone into a
Austin.
Tuesday morning truck zone and turned it into a thriving, vibrant community.
Yeah, people thought we were crazy when we went to far East Austin, and obviously that's come a long way. Yeah, we redeveloped. Most of what we're doing these days is redevelopment.
Okay.
Which typically is in an area that kind of wants to be redeveloped. So we did a project. Dallas has reminded me at the tollway in Arapahoe, an old big box that it was time to go. You know that story.
And we did 2 right behind it that copycatted them.
That's right. We're doing one on South Cooper Street in Arlington, and that whole case was about revitalization.
Cool.
It's an old nightclub that everybody was desperate to see go away, and anyway, that was part of the zoning. It was all about being catalytic, being a
Rock solid.
catalyst.
Thank
So they called it the halo effect in Arlington.
Any more questions for the applicant or staff? Yes, Commissioner Brittle?
Well, I think a dog park is a good idea.
Okay.
I'll help you put that in.
Okay, cool.
You don't have anything else around there.
Right.
So the dogs would thank you, I think,
Okay.
on that point.
All right, thank you, sir.
You bet. Thank you.
This is a public hearing. I'm now opening the public hearing. If there's anyone who would like to come forward and speak on this topic, please state your name and address for the record.
Hi there.
Hi.
My name is Walt Lightburn. This is Rachel Moore. Our company, Lightburn Equipment Company, we're at 13655 Welch Road, across the street from the proposed development. We've been in Farmers Branch since 1973. We're a distributor for American Honda Motor Company. We sell power equipment, pumps, generators, lawnmowers, engines, parts. The presentation is great, and it looks like a really beautiful project. The only concern I have is the traffic and safety in the area. You know, we talk about pedestrian amenities. There are no sidewalks on Welch Road. Literally, there are 18-wheelers that come up and down all day long, making multiple deliveries in all of our facilities. UPS, FedEx, it's going on all the time. I don't know if any of y'all have ever been. RMAX is a block south of Alpha, block south of where we're talking about. Welch is blocked almost every day by RMAX.
Is RMAX a company?
It's they make insulation. They have a big warehouse. It's on Welch between Simonton and Alpha. I just think you add 600 cars to the mix where they're coming and going in the middle of all these 18-wheelers. I don't think it's safe. I already see crazy things happening when these 18-wheelers are waiting to get into these lots. I just think it's a potential problem for you. The place looks spectacular, but I just worry about what the outcome's going to be.
Thank you, sir. I do have a question for the applicant.
I'll answer this.
Sure.
Part, if you like. Dallas Cawthorn, 2201 Main Street with Master Plan. Thank you for having us. So we have worked hard on this. And so I think if you look at the traffic study numbers, and I'm here a lot, our club baseball's Mustangs right across the street at the yard. And my daughter dances at Rogue. So this is a neighborhood that I'm in a lot, and she's a 15-year-old student driver, so I observe the traffic pretty diligently here. You know, our traffic will spread across the day because, you know, not everybody leaves at 7 to go to a job in an area, and we'll have some people that stay at home. So, you know, we're going to generate, you know, 6.59 per unit or something like that. But the site now, and it's zoned industrial, you could have had another warehouse be built with even more trucks. So we spread across the entire day and evening on time. And I think you'll also see, and you know, I think we talked to staff about this any number of times. If you think of the design district in Dallas, you know, the design district before it was the stuff on the other side of Stemmons. I mean, we did the first 2 projects for another pioneer group like them that look at sites and see the treasure, not the junk. And so where the Mavericks training facility is on kind of the south, and on the north where Meddlesome Moth is, Wood Partners did a deal that later Meddlesome Moth came in and copycatted or to serve the needs of people who wanted to get out. And then you got the Virgin Hotel later. So I would say, you know, and there are already people looking at other sites. And I know we talked about this when we did the indoor automotive use. This area is on everybody's radar screen, and it is changing away from big commercial trucks to being a residential mixed-use district that is, you know, across all kinds of times. And so I think on the traffic side, some of that is going to work itself out. And we may produce similar numbers of trips in terms of what's the allowed uses today, but ours are with cars and in a night peak time. So, you know, I'm hopeful that they'll see that this will, you know, go look at all the multifamily stuff in Design District, and there are still all kinds of distribution and design and other things, and they get along really kind of happily. And those places have a lot of parking in the public right of way. We did some where appropriate and not where it'd be unsafe.
Thank you. Sarupa?
Thank you, Dallas. Chairman Moore, I just wanted to mention only on the TIA. I believe I did not touch on that when I was presenting.
That was my question.
Thank you. So a TIA, the applicant has been informed that the TIA will be required for this site, given that they are bringing 406 multifamily units to this area, which was purely non-residential before. And you will see on the conceptual site plan, there is a note based on staff recommendation. We have added a note that says A TIA will be required during the detailed site plan process, and if any of the significant changes are required as based on the traffic impact analysis, such as on-street parking, removal of or reduction in sidewalk or landscaping, etc., then this conceptual site plan will be brought back to P&Z and City Council. So we have been aware of the TIA requirement as well as the applicant, their engineer, and they are aware of the TIA requirement. We do not foresee the TIA impacting the site in a way where the design will have to be drastically changed, and that's why we feel comfortable presenting the zoning amendment in front of you.
Thank you.
I'd like to ask a follow-up question to that. So when we did the comprehensive east side plan, was the TIA language part of that plan? Were we requiring all prospective developers to present a traffic impact analysis?
Traffic impact analysis is required by the Public Works Department. It's not part of necessarily, it's based on land use. So when we are changing land use based on your uniform traffic manual, if you're increasing the intensity of the use, increasing the number of traffic counts, that's required by our Public Works Department. And what we do is there is a TIA determination form. We provide that to the applicant when they're asking for a zoning change, and we provide that to Public Works team, and they determine when a TIA is required. So it's not based on a comprehensive plan, it's based on our Public Works team.
And I guess the reason I ask is because we've already had 2 other sites developed or proposed.
And they had.
Did they do a traffic? Okay, that's what I wanted to
Yes.
ask. I didn't recall that they did, but I knew we approved
Yes.
2 other locations, so that's why I was asking the question.
Yes, and usually that's why we require it during detailed site plan, because it's an expensive item, and with zoning still being decided, we do allow them sometimes to go through the zoning process with the understanding that the TIA will be produced and reviewed at the detailed site plan process.
And the applicant has no issues providing that?
No.
In time? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Sarupa. This is a public hearing. If there's anyone else who would like to come forward, state your name and address for the record. Seeing none, I will now close the public hearing. Commissioners, I'll entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the proposed rezone request at 4707 Alpha Road as described.
I have a motion from Vice Chair Zavala to recommend approval of the zoning request and associated conceptual site plan as presented. Do I have a second? Second from Commissioner Brittle. All in favor?
Just for my clarification, are you making that recommendation with the understanding that the plans will be revised before it's presented to City Council?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
It is unanimous. So this goes to Council May 3rd. Thank you. And finally, I did close the public hearing, right?
You did.
Okay, good.
You did.
Item D3.
I mean, you entertained an amendment to the motion, we'll then vote on it live, but we can
Conduct a public hearing and consider the request to rezone approximately 1.10 acre tract of land located at 3940 Spring Valley Road from Light Industrial Zoning District to Planned Development District number 106 Zoning District to allow one family attached townhome residential development as a permitted use and establish related development standards and take appropriate action. Chris.
Good evening. Again, Chris Webb, Senior Planner with the Planning Department. So for case 21Z808, we are looking at a site located at 3940 Spring Valley Road, where it is currently zoned light industrial. It also currently has the former Farmers Branch Fire Station number 2. It is not occupied at the moment, and the applicant is looking to redevelop this site, a roughly 1 acre site, into 19 unit townhome development. It would consist of 5 3-story buildings. Each one would have a 2-car attached garage. There would also be, in addition to that, 8 visitor parking spaces. With this would be a planned development, so it will become planned development zoning 106 if it is approved, with site layout and building design standards. What you see on the right-hand side is going to be the conceptual site plan for this development. On the left side and the right side, so I guess east or west and east, you'll see the 2 4-unit townhome buildings. On the interior, you see the 2 where the 2 3-unit townhome buildings will be, and then along the southern portion of this site will be where that 1 5-unit townhome building will be constructed. On the setbacks, the front yard reads a little confusing, I know, when you say minimum of 20 feet or maximum of 5 feet. The idea behind that is we don't want it to be set up where you have, say, 10 feet and somebody can park in there and partially block, like say they have a driveway, they're partially blocking the mutual drive that goes through. So it's either short enough that it absolutely discourages folks from parking there, or it's deep enough that you actually are able to fully park a vehicle in there if you, say, have visitors or anything like that. So that's why it's a minimum of 20 feet or a maximum of 5 feet without anything in between. The rear yard setback will be 5 feet, which will allow for some small yardettes for this site. And then the side yard requirement is only going to be for the lots that are on the ends of these, I guess, the proposed development, and that will be a setback of 5 feet. Overall dimensions, the typical dimension will be 28 feet wide with a 40-foot width, or 40-foot depth, rather, and then those end lots will be 33 feet wide, which will be where that additional 5 feet come into play. The building height will either be they'll all be 3 stories, but will not be allowed to exceed a maximum of 45 feet in overall height, and that's going to be to the highest point of the building. For the landscaping, there are going to be 6 proposed shade or canopy trees with this, 4 of which are going to be in what's shown on here as the landscape setback. And that's going to be that northern most kind of green area that runs parallel to Spring Valley Road. With that, that's going to be at least 25 feet deep, measured from the property line. They are going to keep 2 ornamental trees that are currently existing on the site as part of this. And then there's going to be 2 additional shade trees kind of in this where the center parking is, just to the south of the 3-unit townhomes. Additional landscaping is possible. However, this is just a conceptual landscape plan. A final landscape plan will come forward as part of the detailed site plan. As far as the units themselves will look, this is a look at the 3-unit townhome building, where you see the overall height, again, is going to be 3 stories, and they will be allowed to be up to 45 feet in overall height, with the 2-car garages attached. Because of the constraints of the site, they will all be front entry for the 2-car garages, and then there will be a 5-foot rear yard area as well. This is going to be the 4-unit townhome building. All of these are going to be a mixture of both cementitious fiberboard and also some masonry. And we do see the 5-unit townhome building, which this could be the last slide as far as the elevations are concerned for this site. In terms of the townhome use, our east side plan does show this area to be a residential center, which it's already surrounded by multifamily use on 2 sides in the town of Addison on the north and west side of this property. Predominantly, we are seeing residential uses already within this area, and townhome development is a preferred complementary use to what is currently existing in this portion of Farmers Branch. So the use is consistent with what the east side plan recommends. We did send out public responses or public notices, and we have not received any responses from any of the individuals or places that received those public notices. Our overall recommendation is approval of this zoning request. I am free to take any questions if y'all have any for staff, and the applicants are here as well if you do have any questions for the applicant.
Thank you, Chris. Any questions for staff? Yes, Bonnie.
Do you happen to know what's being developed just immediately west? And I know it's in Addison, but they've scraped that lot.
No, ma'am.
Nope. Questions? All right, super. Does the applicant have a presentation or?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. Any questions for the applicant? Bonnie,
Does the applicant know what is being constructed immediately
if you could
west?
come forward. And just state your name and address for the record.
David Barnes, I'm with TCCI Land and Development in the multifamily and build-to-rent division. We do infill projects, and the address is 3940 Spring Valley,
Thank you.
across the street from Green Hill School.
Yes. So,
So the lot immediately west of this property has been being redeveloped into something. I've driven by it a few times and noticed that the lot's been scraped. There's some concrete. So I'm just curious if you know what the development plans are for that piece of property.
I don't know. I don't know what that is. I'm sorry. But I can look into it.
I just was curious, and I appreciate your answer. Thank you.
Yeah, I was looking.
Pat?
Yes, my question was going to be overall the plan to sell. You said build to rent though. Are you building these to sell or building them to rent?
No, we're going to build them and sell them individually like a normal. Our company does larger developments in the outer loops of Dallas-Fort Worth. We have 10,000 lots that we develop, but my division does infill, build to rent, and multifamily. So when we find a special deal, we like Farmers Branch, we like Carrollton. And to us, this is so infill because we're in Farmersville and we're in Ponder. And so when we find a deal like this, we look at it and we think, who in the world wouldn't want to live there? I went to Green Hill for 4 years of my life, so I'm familiar with the area too. But we look at Farmers Branch and we just say, it's so close to everything. How could this not, as long as we build a nice product?
Sure.
All parts of Farmers Branch, and I think that way about Carrollton is coming too. But
Thank you.
Any more questions for the applicant?
Yeah, just a follow-up question, David.
Yes. Joe.
I guess, what do you think in terms of your construction schedule to break ground, move forward? What does that look like in your mind?
we will go as quickly as possible. We have probably 50 of these being built in Dallas and Farmers Branch. Barring no more COVID and no more ice storms, I think that we'll start as soon as we can possibly get the horizontal designs approved through the city. We'll start immediately, and I would think it would take 12 to 18 months to really build them all and sell everything.
And you said you're already actively building in Farmers Branch now?
Well, our partnership we have written partnerships with various builders, and we're actually just right up here half a mile away on B Street, and looking at other properties as well. And by the way, the moment we listed those B Street properties, the first 9 we listed sold within like 4 days.
You're talking about the ones that are painted white right here, right?
It's just not even half a mile. I'm pointing the wrong. Oh yeah, I'm
That's
turning
what
around
he's
the building.
talking about, right? Yeah.
Yes, right here. We could probably walk there in about 5 minutes.
Is that what was delaying that project a little bit? I know we're a little off topic here, but that project kind of stalled out for a little bit.
That project, we had a freeze, and I hate to say it, but our superintendent died.
Okay.
That was where he passed away. And it was a scramble because you just can't you can find an employee right now, but to find a good employee is a different deal.
Right.
And so, yeah, he passed away, and so we did have a little setback. We stopped, but we figured it out, and the product is pretty nice.
And just my last question, typically I advocate for less parking, and I'm just curious in terms of, you got 8 spots here. Do you think that's enough parking? Because it's let's say just someone wants to have, no, I get that, but let's say 2 people want to have a get-together. Where do they park? On Spring Valley? Trust me, I'm always against less parking, so I'm not trying to advocate for more parking. I'm just asking for your opinion here.
Well, my honest opinion is I just sold 25 of these very similar units in Dallas, and we didn't even have 8, and I thought it was a problem too. We all had 2-car garages, and they had about 7 spots for 25 units, but given the fact that we just had this acre, I would have loved to have about 30 feet on each side. We probably would have tried to go 6 stories if I could have done that, right? But we maxed everything we possibly could. We gave up 2 units on the sides. We got to what is code, but
Yeah, just unfortunately you don't have a street where you can actually people can just park. I mean, they're gonna have to park off of not Alpha. What's the street? Brookhaven Club? Vitruvian Way. Yeah, Vitruvian Way, and
Vitruvian,
there's street parking there if I recall, but.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. Okay.
No, I think we've found the most that we could find on such a limited space. I know code, we reached code +1, I think, but.
No, you're
but
good.
it's-
I was just
In
curious.
practical, I kind of agree. I think
It's
it's
not
the
my
best.
problem. I won't be visiting anybody there or parking there, so.
We'll just tell them no parties, right? No parties, no Airbnbs, right? The whole thing, man. So.
It's better for Uber, so. I do have a question.
Andy first.
Oh, I'm sorry. Just real quick. I was joking about it in the study session, but I'm actually kind of interested now. Because you're taking down a fire station, there is a historical element to it. Do you have a name or a theme or anything like that to kind of preserve the history of the site?
No, we're open to that. That's kind of, but I agree. We're just so early on. We haven't really got to names, but I agree. I think that some of our principals did throw a few things out, and we walked the fire station, and frankly, my principal, Tommy, was hoping that if it was awesome, he was like, man, I might just keep this fire station. And I've subsequently met 4 or 5 people who thought, well, what's in there? Can I just keep it? I'll buy it. I'm like, no, it's not one of those. It's a 70s fire station. There's just nothing that great in there except the big open space in the back. But we're open to suggestions. So if it's open to suggestions.
Linda.
Well, Firehouse Theater is taken, so.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You continue to think.
I'll let you guys take a poll amongst yourselves. And we'll name it.
So, cost, price, sales price, and then square footage, I didn't see that, I may have missed it.
We're targeting, well, the most recent townhomes we did, I've got 11 in Dallas on Mohawk that I originally thought were going to go for $420, and because of COVID, we got delayed, and then now those things are now appraised at $525. So if I said 500 right now, and I could magically snap my fingers and be done tomorrow, I think they would be in the 5 range, and I think it's going to be Brookhaven and Green Hill staff and faculty, half of them, and then the rest is just people who want to live close in an infill to everything.
I agree. What's a square footage, any idea?
Well,
Are they all the same?
they're all the same, and I think right now they're at about 1650-ish, depending on if we can pop out on the top floor. We'll get every little bit, but we got fire code to work with. And they're all 2 bedrooms and 2 baths and parking down below.
Well, lots of schools close by, and so I think you hit right on it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any more questions for the applicant? All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
This is a public hearing. I'm now opening the public hearing. If there's anyone who would like to come forward and speak, please state your name and address for the record. Seeing as we only have the applicant and staff, I think no one's going to come forward, so I will now close the public hearing, and I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the zoning request.
I have a motion from Pat. A second? Second from Commissioner Brittle. All in favor? It is unanimous. This goes to council.
May 3rd, and just a point of clarification, I know we opened the public hearing and just wanted to clarify that this item was continued from the last meeting and the public hearing was kicked off.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, so that was approved unanimously. It goes to council on May 3rd. With that, we have exhausted our agenda, so I will now close this Planning and Zoning Commission meeting at 8:18 p.m.